Tonight, police are looking for a second suspect connected to an explosion at a Vaughan Cafe. The Red Cross has sounded the alarm after 2 drownings in York Region, and Peel Regional Police are looking for 2 men related to a Brampton pharmacy robbery. Sun and Cloud, Mississauga 25, Newmarket 24. This update is brought to you by Frank Cotolo on 148.ca. Vacation tips. Frank has exotic plans for the vacances at 148.ca/Frank. I'm Philip Hong from SRN National News. Now here's North American Harness Update on SRN1 with Ray and Mike.
The starter has called the field to the gate. This field is in motion and approaching the start. And they're off. And it's a battle into the first turn for control. The battle continues by the half and approaching the far turn. Stride for stride past the 3/4 pole and approaching the top of the stretch. And as they hit the top of the stretch, it's mission brief. Foiled again, Muscle Hill, Captain Treacherous, and Vegas Vacation. Lucky Jim, a rock and roll dance, be a magician. Sebastian K approaches the line. Guccio is coming late, and as they hit the wire, it's too close to call.
Now here's North American Harness Update on SRN1.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ray Cotolo. I see. I get no applause whatsoever. I don't get a crowd whatsoever either. I was expecting at least one or the other. Well, hello, everybody. I'm doing the cliche take the mic out of the mic stand bit right now because for those of you who don't know, over the last couple of weeks, I've been speaking quietly. Over the last couple of weeks, I'm probably going to regret turning my mic up that much. Over the last couple of weeks, months, maybe year, we're approaching year, I've been trying to do the show in a more lively manner, at least for me. That manner being standing up. And that's not saying I'm trying to do stand-up, because that would imply that, first off, I have jokes. I don't tell jokes. I never have told jokes, and I may, in fact, never will tell jokes. Everything I say is sincere to my heart and what I believe. And if you think otherwise, then that's a shame on you, because I'm up here on my little soapbox on the internet, my virtual soapbox, spewing the truth, as everybody on the internet does, from the great Alex Jones to... I feel dirty just continuing that bit. I'm sorry. See, this is why I couldn't do stand-up. I have no commitment whatsoever. And that's also why I have gone through like 6 girlfriends. And it's not because they left me and also they weren't my girlfriends and they called the police on me. That never happened. You have to see what I look like in order to pick up on that joke. And I know that totally contradicts what I was saying earlier about the whole not telling jokes thing. But let's be honest. How could I be serious about saying Alex Jones is great? And for the one person out there listening who is an avid Alex Jones follower, well, I don't really think we need you in the crowd. Because we have everyone else who goes, I mean, he's all right. I'm not a big fan of him. But you know what? That indifference means the world because you're still sticking around. And not only that, it's not like Alex Jones even matters in this context. Because he does not pertain to horse racing, and neither does anything that I am saying right now to introduce the show, because the whole point of this introduction, as I say week in, week out, is to prepare you for an unorthodox racing experience, one that is very laid back, very relaxed, and very other synonym of relaxed and laid back that I cannot think of at the moment because I am currently in the zone. I wanted to maintain this kind of tone for the show because I feel it's something missing from sports. You know, people take everything in sports so seriously. Like, I know I know some people who, like, for instance, I know some families that grow up Patriots fans, and they raise their kids up in New England, and say one of the kids ends up becoming a Redskins fan. They'll just leave that kid at a Wegmans and never come back. Luckily, I guess if you're forced to live on your own in the wilderness, Wegmans is a good choice. They have plenty of food. It's like I was at a bonfire earlier this week, and there was pizza and soda there, and we were sitting there around this little fire on a patio in a development. A development is is a very gentrified suburb, and the one kid says, I think we could live pretty decently out in the wild. To which my response was, if with Papa John's and Coca-Colas on hand, I mean, you bet. Anything's easier with Papa John's. That's not true. Pooping is not one of those things. You can ask my lawyer, which, I don't want all the lawyers to pop out again after last week. It took us 2 hours after the show to put them all back in the shed. Oh, and they're not going to go back. It's like when the dog breaks out of the cage. But it was pretty recently. Actually, it wasn't recently. I try. No, I don't. You'll understand where I'm going with this in a second. I have noticed through the course of my path to enlightenment, which, believe it or not, from everything I say, and all of the words that come out of my mouth, all the ideas that are spurred from my mind, there is a sense of enlightened thought to them, all right? I've studied all the greats, Aristotle, Plato, Sacapuntus. I know what they've all said, what they've all done, and what they've all drank, because most of them drank themselves to death, especially Sacapuntus. Or Socrates, so he's known by that in some jurisdictions. And it dawned on me recently that I'm really good at being bad at what I do, which I think is great, because there's too many people out there. There are too many. You see, I'm already doing it. There are too many people out there that are good at what they do, and they get zero recognition for it, because you never notice anybody doing anything good for this world. That's why we all remember Bush so fondly, because he did nothing. I have to say that for the comedic dogma against Bush. All right, I was too young to understand. My hands are up. Please don't fire. My hands are up. Don't fire at me. I'm just going with the flow. All right. Back to the bit. But like, some people say, well, you should try and be the best at what you do. But at the same time, nobody remembers those people, like I said. Now, for being as bad at what I do as I usually am, some people think that hurts my credibility. I just say name recognition. Because people will remember the bad job I did, and they will continue to listen to the bad job I did. That I do. I'm not going to make this past tense, because let's be honest, it's not getting any better from here on out. But what's interesting is how we don't accept that in adults. Now, I'm counting myself as an adult, even though I'm a preteen dweeb in some locales. Cosmetically, I'm just very lonely. I'm sorry, that one got me. I had to break character for a second. But we don't applaud those kind of traits in adults, but we do in kids. It's interesting. Like, if a kid lights a firecracker in the house, it's an accident. If I do it, it's arson. Like, there's a double standard here. I mean, sure, you may say the kids are naive and you can't blame them for stuff they don't know, but it's not like many adults know any better. Now, this is the part in the bit where I would probably hear applause, because everyone out there knows an adult or two that's just really stupid. Like the kind that get fat-free cheese and Diet Coke and go, why am I gaining weight? Well, maybe they aren't as good for you as they may say. They may say fat-free, but in fact, it means there's more fat in you. I don't know what that means. This is all off the cuff. I don't prepare for any of this. Nor can you really prepare for anything. That's an important lesson for this world. And if anyone's going to tell you important lessons for this world, let it be an 18-year-old schmuck from central Pennsylvania. Because I do it every week. Every week, I do not prepare. Well, I prepare for the horses because I kind of have to. I can handicap on the spot. I've become good enough at what I do where I can just look at a field and then say, okay, it's this horse. It's that easy. It's a lot of mathematical, instinctual singalabobles. Which after this show, that word will be added to Webster's dictionary. We're going to have to figure out what the hell it means, though. But you can't prepare for anything. And it's important, at least for me, to be able to forfeit yourself to the powers that be. Because, I mean, sure, I'm as much a captain of my own fate as I can believe. However, every captain is still still the victim of the tides and the waves and the ocean carrying him to his destination. The only thing he's in control of is how he can navigate those waters. That is a Rudyard Kipling poem, at least I think it is. And that's exactly how life should be treated. I just assume it's Rudyard Kipling because it involves ships and adventure. And at the end it probably goes, "You will be a man, my son." Oh, God. I think that's Invictus. I don't even know who wrote that one. I'm referencing stuff nobody probably knows. I have this stuff hanging on my fridge. I come from a very, very sad family. Not the kind that can just lose themselves in the New England Patriots. I've been cursed to know sadness. But over the next 2 hours, we hope that we can help you in some horse racing endeavors, but also help you learn a bit about life. Because, in all honesty, I've said before, horse racing is an allegory for life because we're very much like the horses we watch going in circles, except we don't admit it. That's probably the entertainment of it. It's kind of like when you see a clown lit on fire at a circus. You laugh at him because first off, he's a clown. It's hilarious. And second off, it's not you. The humor comes from the fact that it's not you. Water bottle, you can't fall on the ground like that. It comes from the fact that it's not you. Because laughing at other people's misery, which I'm assuming it's misery, clowns are notoriously depressed, and it could be like one of those Buddhist traditions of rebellion, if you date back to the 1970s, back when the Europeans were occupying, well, that was actually the Vietnam War. I guess it would be before that. I'm not a historian, I'm a jerk. I have that on my business card. Where was I going with that? Ah, yes. We laugh at other people's misery because it's a reminder that we're better than that. That's why we laugh at people, because it's a demonstration of superiority. I don't remember where I was going with that because the clown being lit on fire was too funny. I mean, really, you can imagine going around in circles and the bull is chasing. Oh, God. Oh, we are a sick race of creatures. Like, really. Oh, if only I could remember where I was going with that. It sounded noble. It sounded provocative. It sounded profound. However, I'm too stupid to realize how to finish it. And with that, wait, something about life, learn about life. Oh, no, I lost it. I'll win, however. This is where we segue into horse racing. I will win, however, some horse races. As tonight on the show, we'll be covering the late pick 4 from the Meadowlands, as we usually do. For $50,000 guaranteed pool. Rod's hit it for the last 3 weeks. I hit it like 6 weeks ago, and I will make sure everybody remembers that. From there, we have races to talk about from the Meadowlands for tomorrow, which includes the Mary Reynolds Memorial, the elimination for the Meadowlands Pace, which is the only stakes elimination going on this week, and I'm assuming everything else, goes straight to final. I know the Dancer goes straight to final. The Del Miller goes straight to final. I guess the Houghton and Golden. I'm not sure if the Golden Girls is on Pace Night anymore. I think it is. Maybe it's a different race I'm thinking of. And then also the graduate finals for the 4-year-old for the 4-year-old Trotters and the 4-year-old Pacers. That's at the Meadowlands tomorrow. And then we're also going to talk about the eliminations for the Lawrence B. Sheppard over at Yonkers Raceway. There's 3 eliminations of that. Those are 2-year-olds in their first stakes appearance of the season. First major stakes appearance. If you want to discard the kindergartens and such, they really don't count because they're just prelims. This is actually a stakes event. And the finals for the kindergarten until November or something. And then from there, we'll also talk about the late pick 4 for tomorrow at the Meadowlands because my man Mike Pribozie is addicted to pick 4s, and I think we need to get him help. I think he's becoming way too addicted to these horizontal wagers, and it's affecting him, and it's affecting everyone around him. We will have testimony from Mike's kids later in the show. But for now, I should probably log on to Skype and stop getting my mic cord caught in this desk. Wait, oh, no, it was caught on a nail. All right. Well, I should probably open Skype now. Our Pick 4 tickets are probably up on Twitter and Facebook. Twitter at NA Harness Update. Facebook, I think it's also it's / North American Harness Update. Let's see. I cover. I'm bad at what I do. Kids suck. There's double standard. I think I covered everything I really wanted to. If I covered anything at all. Which, in all honesty, did I? It's not like any of it matters. We're going to die someday. So, let's forget about that and follow the great existential distraction, or the great existential solution, rather, of distraction. Distract ourselves with horse racing. Oh, that's what I was talking about! I just remembered it! We're entertained by the horses going in circles because we don't want to admit that we are the horses continually going in those circles. God, that's poetic as hell, yes! It was beautiful. I feel nothing from completing that thought. Except a little sweaty because this light is boiling me. Ugh. I should probably pick up my water too. Hydration is I got it backwards. Dehydration is the enemy. I also have a little bit of coffee to finish still. Meanwhile, Mike and Robert are going to go, why do you drink so much water? Like, you don't drink water. What kind of freak does not drink water? The answer is a dead one because they didn't drink any water. Either that or it would be a dead fish still. I'm calling Rod and Mike. I got a whooping to hand them before they hand it to me. Well, there's Rod.
Finally.
What do you mean finally? What do you mean finally? You're cutting out.
What do you think I mean?
I don't know what you mean. I was just doing my thing, teaching the masses of great thoughts that I possess, which makes them great. And I figured you might learn something. I try to be didactic in my speech. I'm sorry, or is it not horsey enough for you? I tried to make a horse racing metaphor. That horses going in circles thing, that's great. It's a great metaphor.
No.
What do you mean no? I feel like you guys are just purposely abrasive. Instead of just basking in my glory.
What glory?
Basking. Like the little things you put your food in, then you go out to the woods, then Yogi Bear comes, he's like, oh, hey, I'll get some of the basking. And Boo Boo goes, why you talk like that, Yogi? And Yogi goes, you're not my son, Boo Boo. And then there's this whole, familial paradox that opens up, and it becomes very, very sad.
It sounded like the same bear.
It's not the same bear. That's the point.
That's
why they were different voices.
No, that was the same voice.
Because you got Yogi Bear. Sounds like it's like the stereotypical Frenchman. I think Yogi Bear is French. And Boo Boo goes, Yogi, and I kept my pants, Yogi. And Yogi goes, how about you change your own pants, Boo Boo?
This is junk.
You guys have no appreciation
This
for the
might be-
arts.
This might be the worst conversation we've ever had on this show.
Like you've had great conversations on this show.
I'm not really saying anything, so I feel as though I'm not part of it. I'm not taking any responsibility for this whatsoever.
I'm trying to get out of the conversation, and so I kind of feel like I'm in the same boat as Mike on
Well,
this one.
You encouraged him to use different bear voices.
Because they were different voices to begin with. It was an illustration.
No, they were the same.
They were not the same. Audience at home, tweet at Rod that they weren't the same. And also go to his house. And with pitchforks and Grubhub
Wow.
and
Wow.
Tinder dates
If you bring pitchforks here,
and
I'll
Gamefly, Netflix and chill.
Wow.
All at Rod's house. The entire state of Ohio is invited. Which, by the way,
no, they're not.
Thank you to the entire state of Ohio for tuning in. We hope we can please you over the next 2 hours. Well, hour and a half, technically, because I was busy. I just got off my soapbox right now. For you guys wondering, because I know you don't like it when I get super inflated in my ego, but I'm also getting very sweaty, and I figure the lower to the ground I get, the cooler I'll be. Although I'm cool no matter what. I mean, just look at me. I'm emanating just gratitude. Not like the
Right.
Weezer album. Not
How
like
can
the
you
Weezer.
ever be cool with that hair?
Look, Rod. At least I have hair.
Ooh,
I cut mine off, and
there's that.
I left some of it in the shower.
Not on purpose. That's kind of.
Shower asked for it, so I just let him. I just let the shower have my hair.
Look, you just have no idea what to do with your hair. You haven't found yourself in your hair yet. I have created an identity
Oh, my hair
through the
my
hair.
got borrowed. It hasn't found me yet.
Who's borrowing your hair? That sounds nasty. Ugh.
Metaphorically.
Oh, okay. As long as it's metaphorically. Although when I say some stuff metaphorically, you sometimes misconstrue it as gay, and I want to know that's a double standard, Rod. And I said at the beginning I'm against double standards. If you were even listening to the monologue.
Yeah, I listened to like 36 seconds worth of it.
I listened to the full 20 minutes.
You know, I just want people at home to know, because sometimes you don't grow up with a really supportive family, but I've got a really good one in you guys. You guys are always there for me. And I want to thank you for that.
We try.
Not hard at all. Pick 4 time at the Meadowlands. Starting with race number 7. This is 9 minutes to post. More like 12 minutes, especially with the sloppy going, unless they're shortening post times. Probably not. We got no scratches through this entire sequence. We're going to run through this quickly because who wants to talk about pick 4 for over 20 minutes? I don't. I'd rather talk about life and how meaningless it is. But that's just me. Let's instead try to make some money because that'll distract us from our unavoidable demise. Race 7 is a mare pace event. I'm getting scared of myself. The race 7's a mare pacing event. Hours of 11,005. In their last 5 starts, field of 9 going postward here, 8 betting interests with an entry of the 1 and the 1A. Mike, I'm going to start this out with you. You go the deepest in this race, so I'm assuming you think it's fairly wide open.
I just think it's hard. I mean, there's really not a lot of consistent horses in the race. They take turns beating each other. This class is another one of these mishmash classes here where everybody's shoved in, sort of a square hole. So I'm going to use 4 of them. I'm going to use the entry. Liking Blush Hanover, the better of the 2. Comes back to the Meadowlands, which this horse does much better at this place, where she can use her closing kick to, a lot of times run them down. It's made over 300,000. Those races, at Philly aren't horrible from bad post, where she's just very much tactically compromised. So I like her a little. And then the outside 3, the 6, Abijade Hanover, got stuck in the pen pal in it to win a Fortune race last time. Prior to that one, and almost 7,500 at Philly, has raced well here in the past. This horse is very inconsistent, but has some speed. I believe the plan will be blast off early and that's going to be a big advantage in the race because there isn't a lot of speed in there. The 7, Walk Two Moons, comes out of the Yonkers, non-winners of 8s, which are very difficult races. 1, 2 back, and 4 back. And, those are big purses over there. These are tougher horses, I think. But, again, this horse should be out early, and just, could be a little bit better than these right now. And then the 8, Dandy's Beauty, was pace compromised last time, was in the Pen Pal race, raced well to be third, came home 27-2 in a 49-4 mile. I think, if they go a little bit early, this horse will be the one flying late. So 1, 6, 7, and 8.
Now, Rod, Mike said that these are tough horses and this is a tough race. Do you think the same?
It is a tough race. To me, I could have used the entry here, but I had to cut my ticket down a little bit. And I do like Blush Hanover a little bit, so if you can afford to throw her on, go ahead and throw her on. I mean, you get 2 for 1.
Wait,
so.
hold on a second.
But I went.
I want to say, you had to cut down your ticket?
Yes.
I thought you had to use as many as necessary to win.
You do, but sometimes you have to cut. I like being the middle guy. You're the cheap guy, and Mike is the more expensive player. I like to be the middle guy.
I like that you have found your place, and I'm currently very emotional. You go 3 deep here, so talk about your horses.
Yeah, I go 3 deep. I use 2, 6, and 7. The 2 I used had 2 really good races at the Meadowlands, 2 starts and 3 starts back. That last start at the Meadowlands went right to the front and just dominated the race. And then went back over to Yonkers, had no chance out of the 8 hole, but still raced an okay mile. And then the 6, Abajade Hanover, Mike touched on that one. There's not really speed in this race, so I think this horse probably gets out of there pretty good and should be able to get a good spot early. And the 7, Walk Two Moons, Mike also touched on this one. This one's going to leave for sure and probably should make the front. No problems. As long as the 6 goes with the 7 and probably sits behind, I think that's probably going to be your lineup, 7, 6. And then the 2's going to be up close from the rail anyway. So I'm going to take the horses up toward the front, especially on the sloppy track. That's going to help as well.
I go 3 deep in here, basically taking the same angle you guys do, except I'm not a big fan of Abajade Hanover, although she probably got off the gate poorly in that last race just because of how in over her head she was. I'm not a big fan of her up close just because I feel like the 2 and the 7 are better and will most likely out-sprint her in the event that they get the trips that they need up front. So I instead use the 2 and the 7. I also throw on the 8, Dandy's Beauty, who may show speed from post 9. If not, at least can come home strongly, and perhaps if it's one of those sloppy tracks that ends up playing to the backfield, she'll be at an advantage. So I'm 2, 7, 8 in the first leg. Second leg is a 2-year-old filly trotting event. It's a prelim of the Kindergarten Classic. More 2-year-olds to look at here, and this is a pretty decisive bunch. There are some horses that just clearly stand out more than others. Most of us agree. Actually, Mike and Rod, you guys agree on the exact same 3 horses.
Right. I have 5, 8, 10. If you watch those qualifiers, the 5 that Live, Laugh, Love, raced extremely well. Just kind of flew by him standing still under a stranglehold. The horse that raced second in that race was the 8, Hey Blondie. These guys have, legitimate 2-year-old connections. You have Norman with the 5. You have Sylvester with the 8. Both, I thought, raced very well in that race and have a distinct advantage. And then the 8, Lucky Rainbow, despite the outside pose, I like this horse's qualifier also. And, this is Norman. The outside post could be an issue, but lost to the horse that's coming up in the 9th race in that qualifier. And, this horse actually was not asked whatsoever, kind of tipped out late and was going forward despite not even being asked at all. So I think definitely should be used and could be a price amount there. So 5, 8, and 10 in here.
I was looking at the third leg where you guys all fully agree. You guys actually agree on the 5 and the 8. Rod, you don't use the 10, but you throw on the 3. Explain.
Yeah, I use the 3 just because this horse had 2 pretty good qualifiers, and they sat with this horse in the second qualifier, put her in a hole, and he tipped her right at the 3/4 pole, and she trotted home very, very well. And the 5 and the 8 are. What else do you need to say about those two? And I almost use Lucky Rainbow. I just don't like the 10 hole, especially a 2-year-old trotting filly. You got all the people in the stands and they're seeing that for the first time. I'm just not a fan of a 2-year-old trotting filly from out there. So 3, 5, and 8 for me.
All right, I'm busy working on the late pick 4 for tomorrow, so I have no quip to that. However, I'm too deep in this leg. I end up not using the 8, Hey Blondie, for price reasons. Although that was a decent qualifier up against Live Laugh Love. The fact that Live Laugh Love is also in this division makes me think if she's truly better than the 8, then she should beat the 8 here. And that helps me for cost, because then I only have to use the 5, and I also use the 3, Mushka Stride, who improved greatly in that second start out, taken back, as Rod was saying, and actually tried to close in on horses and raced better doing that. Closed in against Bella Gloss, who was one of the more impressive baby race qualifiers of the last few weeks for Tactor. And just overall, that was an impressive qualifier for her second start out. I'm expecting more improvement from her. I'm 3-5 in the second leg. Third leg is race number 9. It's another division of the Kindergarten Classic. Now, this is the one where Mike and Rod, there's only 2 of you, Mike and Rod, agree fully on the 2, 8, and 10.
Go ahead, Rod, if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, we both went 2, 8, 10 here. The 2 horse had a massive second qualifier there. First qualifier was pretty good, slow half, and kind of just went around, sat the 2 hole, and tipped out mid stretch and win the qualifier. And then the second one was very impressive, 2 moved and raced really well. The 8, Bella Gloss, we touched on her in the last leg. She looks like a monster early in her career, and I mean, there's not really much to say other than look at the lines. I mean, she shows that she's the best, and coming big last halves in these qualifiers as well. And then the 10, Strawberry Hanover, I used her. It is the 10 hole, but I used her just because she does show a little bit of speed, and actually trotted a back 3/4 and 126 and 1, and come a last half in 56 and 4. So that was pretty impressive to me for a 2-year-old trotting filly. So that's why I used her.
Yeah, that's a huge qualifier up there, and then to turn around and sit for a month to show up here makes me wonder. They're trying to hide this one a bit, I think.
Oh yeah, they don't want this horse to shine at all. That's why they put her in the stakes company, and they gave her post 10. They want her to be awful. I am a jerk. I go 3 deep here. I'm 2-5-8. I disagree with you guys some. I think Supergirl Riley and Bella Gloss are the 2 standouts. Bella Gloss is the standout. However, I'm not really confident in singling in this 2-year-old race. I overthrow on the 5 Mega Dulce, who has some decent breeding out of the Cadabra mare Bella Dulce. I'm pretty sure is also the dam of Pizza Dulce, or maybe it's the other way around. Pizza Dulce is the dam of her. Nonetheless, it's a very good family. It's daughter of Cantab Hall. Decent qualifier over at Harris, Philadelphia. Came home in 28 and 3 to finish a 2-minute mile. Sat the pocket the entire way, so showed some kind of restraint. Will most likely improve on the mile track, so that's the reason why I'm 2-5-8. Final leg is race number 10, conditioned trotting event. Numbers of 5,000 last 5 starts. A crap fest, no doubt. That could end up producing some kind of price. However, we have some varying opinions here. Mike, for instance, you and Rod are both 4 deep, but you kind of you deviate a bit. So explain your 4.
Using the 1, raced extremely well here when winning 4 back, and then was pace compromised in a couple of the other ones. Went to Goshen and broke. I like coming back here. I like the inside post. The 3, Sheer Flex is going to wake up eventually.
Not tonight.
This is better than these, and I feel like this horse raced better last week. It's 12-1 morning line. I think needs to be used. The 6 is coming from Tioga, coming out of opens and facing better. It's inconsistent, but has won 10 out of 40 lifetime. I'm going to use that one. And then the 9, Highway Marcus, was completely misdriven and broke last week. This horse is a closer, but on his day, he's legit. He can roll by these ones. So 1, 3, 6, 9.
All right, Rod. You talk about this race in the exact same speed. Go.
Yeah, right. Okay. Landon Fitz made a break at Goshen. Obviously has the ability to go with these. 2 I used, Pine Tab. This horse been racing in the amateur races. This is, same type of class, and there's a few others in here that were in the amateur races as well, and gets Andy Miller from Hannah. The 8, Brook Road Donnie. I used this horse just because last start had no chance, ducked way back, and kind of just went around the track. And that was actually a pretty decent mile. They could probably beat these. And then the 9 Highway Marcus, Mike touched on this one, broke last time, but before that was racing really well. And I kind of agree with him on sheer flex a little bit, just because the horse has some speed, and it's a sloppy track tonight, so I wouldn't mind playing that one either.
I don't. Sheer flex sucks. You guys touched on some of the horses I used, the 1, 6, and 9, so I'm just going to take your opinions because you basically see the same things I do, which makes my ticket go as follows. For 50 cents in the late pick 4, which is going off soon, the 278 with the 3-5, with the 258, with the 169. Again, that's 278 with the 3-5, with the 258, with the 169. That's $27.50. Mikey, what's your ticket?
1, 6, 7, 8 with 5, 8, 10 with 2, 8, 10 with 1, 3, 6, 9. Go 10s. $72.
And then Rod.
2, 6, 7 with 3, 5, 8 with 2, 8, 10 with 1, 2, 8, 9. $54.
All right, I of course have the cheapest of the bunch because I am the greatest of the bunch, and I'm also working on the pick 4s we're going to talk about later right now because I was busy recording a track off my new Christian rock album titled Middle-Aged Dad Attempts to Reach Out to Teenage Son Before He Decides to Go to Art School, parentheses, working title. I was a little busy. It's a bombing track. I got 2 thumbs up from Tyler, the Creator.
Can you even fit that title on an album cover?
It's just small. It's small font.
He can fit it somewhere.
Like I said, I got 2 thumbs up from Tyler, the Creator, who just dropped a really good single. I think it was last week. I think Who Dat Boy dropped last week. That's a really good song. He also dropped 911 Mr. Lonely, which is currently number one on the Spotify charts. It's a great R&B song. You guys probably don't know because you're considered fogies in this musical generation.
Well, I'm the oldest.
I don't listen to the newer age stuff, honestly.
Maybe it's because you refuse to evolve, expand the mind. Expand the mind, man.
See, the people your age, like people like Lil Yachty, who's terrible. You can't even understand what he's saying all the time.
No, Lil Yachty's awful.
How is the 6 even money in it?
Yeah, go back to racing and not music. I don't like the 6.
Even money.
Yeah.
Oh, kidding me?
Although, no, not on this track. Not before 8 is not really that good. McGace of Art's at least taking money. Oh, this 5-1 on the 7's somewhat interesting. If she drifts up a bit, it'll be even more interesting.
What are they waiting on? They got their 50,000. These horses have been on
only 27,000 for like 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, I know. They didn't have any money in the pool up until about 3 minutes ago, and then it jumped from about 35,000 to
even money on the
50,000 even.
Look, the track's sloppy. It's going to take the horses a while to get there.
No, that track's fast right now. Trust me.
They're lining up. I don't trust you.
We've been watching the races the whole time while I don't know what you're doing.
I'm living life.
No, we're just not going to say it.
I'm living life.
But we know.
This field is in motion. You guys are awful. Approaching the start. Often pacing, outer tier firing out with Abby Jade Hanover leading the bunch. Walk 2 Moons is also leaving out and is going to be wide towards that first turn, getting way to the inside. Then McCase of Arts Now to the rail and to the lead as they move around that first turn of that opening quarter, taking the pocket. Then Abby Jade Hanover trying to seal that gap. Walk Two Moons gets away third to the outside. Then Amateur Hour wide of her stablemate Blush Hanover, then getting away sixth. Wide then Dandy's Beauty following covers. They go to that first panel back to Cedar Hall Eris, who is third to last, second to last, Not Before 8, and trailing the field is Fanticipation. Opening quarter in 27 seconds as McCase of Arts is going to yield to Amateur Hour, advancing to the outside, heading 3/8. McCarthy's sitting back in the bike, trying to let her by. Abby Jade Hanover then is sitting third to the inside, soon to be shuffled back as Dandy's Beauty is rushing up alongside. 3 wide now for Abatello as she's in pursuit of the lead, and Amateur Hour cannot clear. So they're 3 wide past the half in 54-2, 27-2 for that second quarter as Amateur Hour retreats to that far turn, forcing Walk Two Moons 3 wide, while Dandy's Beauty's parked out by McCase of Arts on the lead. Abby Jade Hanover, meanwhile, is watching these battles unfold. 2 lengths off the lead in third. Back fourth then to the inside, Blush Hanover. Fifth then to the outside, Walk Two Moons is not advancing, and she's 3 lengths off the lead. Inside then, back to Not Before 8. In front of Cedar Hall, Eris dropping back towards the back. Amateur Hour, and it's Fanticipation in the rear. 1:21-4 for 3 quarters to the top of the stretch. Dandy's Beauty takes a narrow lead from McCase of Arts, who battles back to the inside. Outside then, Abby Jade Hanover. Deeper on the track comes Blush Hanover. To the inside, Not Before 8 is sprinting up for Zeron, but in front is Abby Jade Hanover coming to the line. Not Before 8 tries to fly up the inside. Blush Hanover to the far outside. 3 across to the line with Abby Jade Hanover maybe holding on from Blush Hanover to the outside. Not Before 8 was third, tight for fourth, 149-4.
I think the one got up.
LOL.
That's
Also-
tight. I don't know.
Also, let's just note note the bias in what Mike said, because he's the only one that has the one, and the one is 9-1. Therefore,
No, I don't
he
think
thinks
the
the
one
one
got
got up. That's the mind tricking you. It's the mind tricking you. I don't know. I gotta watch the
The last
replay.
These guys are
steps-
going
the last
crazy
steps
for the
are
front
different.
end.
Let's see. Here's the line.
Yes, sir. I think
Oh,
you
that's
got
the
it.
6. That's the 6.
Angle.
That's the 6.
Yeah, I don't know what the angle is there.
It looks like a straight angle. Here's the
No,
close.
it's not.
We're getting the close up. The close up says
The
This isn't-
close-up's terrible though.
actually neither of them won. The 4 won. I'm kidding. It's the 6. I'm telling you, it's the 6.
We'll see.
What do you mean we'll see? I saw it. It's the 6. Look, math wins the photo every time. As the photo sign's down, the results are going to come up, and it's going to say the winner, number 6, Abby Jade Hanover. There it is. Then Blush Hanover, Not Before 8, and Dandy's Beauty. Crazy how the math works like that.
All right, well, we're all live.
Nope. I did not use
We'll
the 6.
see.
Except Ray, because he's terrible.
Oh, yeah, that's why. Maybe not because I took a stand for what I believe in. Never
I think
think of what I do as noble. Think of it as wrong.
Wow. That's a pretty bad beat for me, I'd say.
What do you mean? You're still alive.
Yeah, that's a bad one for you.
I mean, you're still alive.
Not for me, because it kept me
Well, what do
alive.
I want to be alive with 4 to 5 shots whenever 9 to 1s get beat a hair.
So what you're saying is what matters more is cashing than winning.
Huh?
What you're saying is what matters
What kind
more.
of hill were you talking
I
about,
don't really
Mike?
deem it as. I'm not. Whatever.
I'm trying to get you to
I'm
say
trying
what
not
I'm
to
saying.
Curse you to death is what I'm trying not to do. I'm trying not to curse you. I have to be quiet because I didn't want to curse you.
You see, it's restraint. It's not being zen enough to just let it go into the void, as we all will someday. I'm trying to make you guys really scared of your lives with this show.
Yeah. Thanks.
And that's because I have nothing better to do since I'm out of the pick 4. And I'm also
There's
making
a surprise.
pick. Oh, that's a surprise. What is that supposed to mean, Rod? Do you not remember 6 weeks ago when I hit the pick 4 for $210.86 on a 50-cent ticket that in total was $27 for a profit of $197? Do you not remember that? I don't think so. I think you have selective memory. I'm also I'm pressing my temple
Yeah, because
as I'm
I
doing
hit
that.
3 of them since then.
Oh yeah, hit 3 of them. Ooh, I don't know what that means. I'm just trying to be a jerk. You guys are fun.
Hi.
You guys are
Success.
fun. And the best part is, you took it seriously. You couldn't just ride it out. What did I say in the beginning? Forfeit. Forfeit to the seas. Let them carry you where they may.
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah, you didn't listen to the monologue because what I say is worthless. That's right.
Oh no, I listened.
But did you learn?
Apparently not.
I would have also accepted your famously blunt no.
Yeah.
It's no, not yes.
Well, you guys will be. My brother's listening to the show.
I was trying to get you to say no. Maybe your brother learned.
Maybe. He actually thinks you're funny, which I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm not trying to be
There's
funny.
that. There's that.
I also
You're
think,
entertaining him.
well, I think that's also because I'm tormenting you. And listen to that silence. Listen to just the loud silence.
I'm busy.
Battle
like, watching-
Royale.
Like the Japanese movie with the samurais. Did you just reference that?
Yeah.
That's very artistic of you, Rod. Also, by the way, I just want to point this out. Rod is currently in the running for the award for face that does not match voice. The face that does not match voice award. Because Rod is like the most badass Southern tone, but you look at him and he looks like me if I was going bald in my 30s. I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't mean that in a bad way.
How exactly can you mean that other than in a bad way?
Well, clearly going bald would be the better option for me, seeing as my hair is so stupid, is it not?
Yeah, it's terrible.
People just
Just be glad you have it.
Yeah.
People will not accept the brand. It's part of the brand.
Will you just grow your hair all the way out, like long, and then make cornrows?
No.
Why?
No.
I'll give you $100, which is what you've spent in the last 2 months playing your pick fours. I'll give you that $100 back.
Wow. That's quite the offer.
No.
Grow
It
your
is
hair
not.
Got a price, right? Everyone's got a price.
No.
Either cornrows or dreads. I'd rather see you wear dreads.
Look, if you Google me, you'll see that my net worth with my hair is $6.2 million, and without the hair, it's $5. Google it.
Better keep it then.
I said Google it.
Yeah, I'm saying keep it. Just grow it out longer and then put it in dreadlocks or cornrows.
You know why I won't do that? Because white
No.
people have apportioned way too much of other cultures. They've appropriated the other world way too much. Instead of just wearing the pleated khaki shorts and golf shirts as they are supposed to, the kind with the
It's
belly
different here.
protruding over the belt line because they
Baseball
can't get
reference.
enough of their Stella Artois.
Mike,
Yes.
who wears dreadlocks on the Pirates?
John Jaso.
And you
What race?
know what we call John Jaso?
White.
What?
An a-hole.
Oh.
That's one of my favorite jokes. And I also had I bleeped it in the same.
Good catch earlier.
I bleeped it in the same way that I was at a gas station last night because I wanted to get a milkshake, and I was sitting down. I was just drawing some cartoons, and there was this kid across from. There was like this political roundtable going on across from me at 11 o'clock at night in a gas station in the middle of central PA. Like they're gonna solve the conflict in Syria. But anyway, I digress. The one kid, they're talking about their cell phone providers, and the one kid is about to say the F word, but then halfway through he stops. He just goes flipping. Like if you're that far into it, I say just go out, go all out there. You know. Why stop yourself halfway? See what happens. Test the waters. This is now the water show. We're on the seas of knowledge. We're the captains on the seas of knowledge, and that's water composing the seas. Please buy my Christian rock album.
Rod, who are you locked to at Hawthorne?
I'm not.
Oh, you didn't use the 10 in the last?
Nope.
Apparently,
I told you I had a cut. I had to cut.
Apparently, the 10 won the last race at Hawthorne. Now, the bigger question is we need to find someone who cares.
I care. That's why I asked.
Instead of going, wow, Ray, you're going to release a Christian rock album. What's the title of that album again? To which I would reply, middle-aged dad attempts to reach out to teenage son before he decides to go to art school.
Okay, then.
I have a fly currently resting on my elbow, and he is asking to die. This is a very.
I can't believe I didn't use the 10 there.
I can't either. You've been chasing that horse for a couple weeks, too.
I know. I didn't use him just because he had the 10 hole, and I figured he had too much ground to make up against the 7 and the 9. And
well, now you're getting the 2 hole.
I gotta sneeze, and I gotta quip. Oh no, which one's gonna come first?
Pick 4 and pick 5 both dead.
Ooh.
Oh, the sneeze.
Well, they might pay 4 out of 5 in the. I think they usually pay a consolation in the pick 5.
They're all covered.
Some of my money back.
I'm glad you guys were so concerned with.
No, I know they're covered.
With the dynamite that just spewed out of my nostrils. Oh my god.
Well, this place you never know.
The metaphor continues. I am the captain of my fate, and currently this ship is under mutiny. How
Let's see, Will Pace.
How far? You know, the moment you said your brother was listening to this show, that's when it all went downhill. Not just for you, for Rod, because that's when I go. I got to go all out.
Rod's girlfriend listens to the show.
Oh God, I feel so bad for her. Especially seeing his.
Is she entertained by Ray? Rod?
No.
Well, I'm gonna play into your sense of humor. Does it seem like I really play well with the ladies?
No.
You see, instead of the no, that's where you're supposed to laugh and then go, that's funny because you're ugly. But that hurts more that you couldn't just laugh at it.
This is a radio show.
And?
Everybody knows we're ugly.
I can at least be semi-attractive. It depends on what Instagram filter I use.
Hey, I look good to my girlfriend, and other people think I'm ugly, so.
I thought you were about to say other people also think I'm good looking, to which then we would bring your girlfriend on, and you guys would fight live on the show. Because it's all about ratings.
No, this isn't Jerry Springer.
It's about ratings. I will sell out at the moment we get listeners. You don't understand. Of course, I'm kidding.
Now's a good time to talk about off and pacing, and how's everyone doing this week?
What do you mean?
I've been doing okay, I guess, but I was kind of infuriated that I'd say I've raced probably 200 starts this week, and I've been parked about 120 of them, and then win about 50.
Have you noticed with the new driver AI or whatever he's putting on that now nobody gets parked anymore? Everybody seems to be able to clear the front every race now.
Except me.
It used to be everybody would be parked the whole way around. Now everybody just gives up the lead and gives up the lead and gives up the lead every race.
Okay, now
yeah, I had the rail earlier on a half-mile track and ended up last at the 3/4 and come flying for second.
You guys did not preface at all what you were talking about, so I'll jump in for you.
I said it's time to talk about off and pacing.
But for those listening to the show, they might be going, "What the hell is off and pacing?" Well, I'm here to tell you.
Now you're going to give me like a 10-minute promo about Burger King and all kind of other crap that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. We're actually talking about the game and physical gameplay, and you'll give some sort of a crap promo.
Please realize that everything I have done in the past has culminated into this great joke. Just appreciate it. As I was saying, for those who have...
Here we go.
I'm not going to do a 90s infomercial. I've run out of concepts for that. For those of you listening that have no idea what Offen Pacing is, it's basically it's a mobile app where you can run your own harness racing stable. You can buy horses, race horses, technically train horses because you're able to enter them in specific classes. You can configure their where they start, how they race, map out their entire careers, or just retire them all to breeding and have 60 million babies to sell on the auction for $15 million. You can play it in any way you want. That's the best part of it, is the amount of freedom you have and the multiple pathways you can take within the game. There are claimers. You can own as many horses as you want, but I do advise, do not own more than 50, or some people do like 800. Like I think that PLR guy owes like 800 horses that he races daily.
I want to know how he ended.
My buddy Eric Plowman said he's got about 1,000.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
However,
I have about 200, but most of them were in the breeding barn and things like that. I only have about 55 maybe racing.
Offen Pacing, of course,
I've only got 25 racing.
Is available on the App Store for Apple and on Google Play for Android.
Kyle Burton has 2, but God knows that we know about those 2 more than I know about my 50, because every single thing they do pops up on Twitter.
I miss the days when
I was proud of his stable.
I miss the days when Kyle would send me political jokes.
Remember when Kyle used to have 1,000 horses? Now he has 2. He tweeted a lot less with 1,000 horses than the 2.
Remember
that he has right now.
Remember when Kyle was cool?
Remember when Kyle used to come on the show and listen to the show? Now you know what he's doing? He's tweeting about 2 horses that race in a virtual game.
Notice the real frustration coming out of your mouth right now.
It's bad.
It's like I said.
I want to add in.
It's like I've been saying when we do the Periscopes, which, by the way, North American Harness Update presents live racing from Offen Pacing on Periscope on select races. But it's like I say, I think the strongest case for why this is such a good game is the fact that just seamlessly playing it, you become so engaged that it seems real. That's the magic behind it. Because you can...
I find myself rooting, like you find yourself watching the races, and I kind of, even if I miss the race, I'll watch the replay without knowing the result so I can be excited about it. So in that instance, I mean, it keeps me interested and it makes it fun.
What's fun for me is owning a horse like Zipsic Xavier, who's a decent 2-year-old, and being able to be in stakes races. And not only that, just watching my earnings accumulate and go up and up and up. It feels like I'm working towards something, even though in reality I'm working towards nothing. But that's the magic, is I don't think that. Offen
Back to
Pacing.
Mike's point, the only thing I'll add to that is, well, I just want to say, Ryan, update my driver, please.
Yes, Ryan, update his driver. I want to use him for stakes races.
I don't care if you update him, Ryan. It doesn't impact me in any way.
Sure it does.
No, I don't use you.
Off
you stopped using me now.
Until you're updated.
I use Chris Alford now.
I started taking myself off my own horses until I'm updated.
Now, if you come to Australia, I'll use you more.
I won't. I'm sorry. I will not.
Well, the problem I'm having is, I win a race in 48-4 the other day in the 750,000 claimer, and then the next start I put him right back in 750,000 claimer, finish 8th and 51. So I watched the replay up until the quarter pole, and then I backed out of it.
Yes, when you know that you're dead, you just shut it off.
Yeah,
that's what.
Wait, is your 750 claimer on a mile track in the United States?
We've got one on a mile and a 7/8.
Oh, okay, because ours is on a half in Australia, and it goes for like 30,000.
We've got one that goes for 35
for
and yeah, I think ours go for 35 and 62.
Wait, the 75?
62?
62. The 5 is 75.
Yeah. All right, race 8 at Meadowlands. Currently, 5 is 4-5, 8 is 6-1, 10 is 22-1, getting no action.
Notice how you guys cling to racing, and you have this
Yeah.
you have this fountain of references and culture just sitting in front of you. Like we had Rod and I, we had such an enlightening discussion about movies after the show, and it felt. Did you not feel fulfilled after talking about that?
I wouldn't say fulfilled.
Did you not feel exhausted?
Yeah, exhausted would be a good word. Since it was, what time did I go to bed? 2:00. We talked for about two and a half hours after the show.
I mean, I was just getting started by that point.
I'm glad I backed out of that because I was just gone last week. I'm like, goodbye, gone.
That's because Mike is scared of finding out what's inside of himself. Call me Freud
You
Jr.
can figure out what's inside of each other while I'm sleeping. 'Cause
I'm not trying to find out what's inside of either one of you guys.
Welcome to the therapist. I am your therapist.
Right.
I think that'd be interesting.
I'm thinking when we go to the Breeders' Crown later in the year, we need to get separate rooms just for that reason now.
Yeah.
Well, I figured it would be for other reasons.
Listen, nuts to nuts or butts to butts, but, you know.
You see, you throw in locker room talk. Me, I was just thinking I'd kill one of you.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
I see you overpowering us every second of the day.
Is this like a Jeffrey Dahmer kill or a Son of Sam type kill where you rape us first and then kill us?
Whoa,
Son of Sam was more 44 Magnum in the street.
I like how you had to go through the archives and you have it all divided and you have different categories. Like, I'm speechless.
I'm betting the 10 at 21-1. I think he's probably worth a deuce.
I will not stop you from that, nor will the betting
The
police.
8 value also 6-1. That's value.
Eight is pretty good value.
Uh-oh. I hear the betting police coming. We are the betting police. Stop putting your money on horses now. You will be wrong. Also, you are arrested.
Yeah.
I
Sounds like Eddie Murphy with his siren.
right? You got what I was trying to
You
reference.
do the SpongeBob siren.
Uh-oh.
Or the Patrick siren is what I meant. Patrick from SpongeBob.
Look, I will not have any SpongeBob references on my show. We can talk about any other show. I will accept whatever you just said about murder earlier if you do not reference SpongeBob on my show. I have a deep grievance with that show, especially since it's the only thing my generation apparently watches.
What can you possibly have against SpongeBob?
The fact that it
This
creeps
is
into...
enlightening to me.
It permeates. It oozes into every portion of my life. I can't escape it.
SpongeBob is the most adult.
No, it
Kid
was.
show
It
I've
was. First off, it
Yeah.
was. And because it was, that doesn't mean we have to remember it as it is. There's such a thing as moving on, evolving, deriving from
Evolving
that.
to the 8th race at the Meadowlands.
Yeah, please call the race.
All right, fine. We're going to break after this.
Thank God.
I love you guys. Oh, I see. Now you shut up. This field is in motion. Currently the favorite even money, the 5. Live, Laugh, Love. Second choice at 5-2. The 3, Mushka Stride. Off stride before the start, the 7 Grammy winner. The rest are on gate and approaching the start. Off and trotting, Mrs. Mia Wallace shows speed to the far outside. Live, Laugh, Love is leaving out towards the center. Caviart Katie to the inside. He's going to secure the top early on, moving to that first turn. Mrs. Mia Wallace shown the whip. Now sweeping up to challenge for the lead, going to that opening quarter off stride towards the back went Honey Honey. Meanwhile, in third, Mushka Stride as Mrs. Mia Wallace backs into the pocket. Live, Laugh, Love gets away fourth. Fifth comes Missy Moose K. It's a gap then about 4 lengths to Hey Blondie trotting sixth. Seventh then is Lucky Rainbow. Back then to the breakers. including Platonic Love, Honey Honey, and Grammy winner. On down the back stretch, heading to the halfway point off a first quarter in 29 seconds. Live, Laugh, Love off stride as she was tracking the move of Mushka's stride to the lead. Caviar Katie now gets the pocket. Third comes Mrs. Mia Wallace, tightening in that spot. 2.5 lengths off the lead. Missy Moose K is fourth as the odds-on choice is now out of the mix off a 58 1/2 mile, 29 1 that second quarter. Hey Blondie trots fifth then, moving to the outside, moving to that far turn. Lucky Rainbow is sixth. Back then to the breakers, including Platonic Hanover, Live, Laugh, Love, Honey Honey, and Grammy winner. 3/4 bound, Mushka Stride, soon to be challenged by Mrs. Mia Wallace, who's now rushing up to her wheel into second. Caviar Katie sits the pocket, locked in, while Hey Blondie second up in the flow. Catching the field towards the back, Live, Laugh, Love with about 7 lengths to make up. 3/4 in 1:28 1 as Mushka Stride turns for home, 2 lengths clear of Caviar Katie trying to get out of the pocket. Mrs. Mia Wallace flattens out to the outside, and Hey Blondie tries to gain ground deeper on the track. Coming to the 8th pole, Mushka Stride sprinting home. Hey Blondie trying to gun her down deeper on the track. Lucky Rainbow, Hey Blondie catching Mushka Stride as she shortened stride to take the Kindergarten Classic. Second then was Mushka Stride, maybe in a photo with Lucky Rainbow, 1:56 3.
That's a good one.
That race.
How about the 6-6 drive on the 10? Oh my God, are you kidding me?
No, because that happened and you lost. However, you're still alive.
I'm actually surprised the 8 got there from where he was.
Yeah, that was a really good race.
The 5 never looked comfortable in the race. The 8, I thought, looked great the whole way. But the 3 almost fell down on the lead. But watch the 10 just explode. And he didn't even ask him.
I know, I was just laughing watching that. Where Jeff Gregory's just so calm.
Yeah,
it's tough for those guys to get after those 2-year-old trotting fillies.
Yeah. You don't
followed the 8 to begin with, he wins the race.
You don't know that.
Okay.
Horses sometimes race better when they're let loose like that. Right, Rod?
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Yay, we agreed on something. Now let's go to break with this positive energy and carry it over into the second hour of the show. When we come back here on North American Harness Update, we're going to talk late pick 4 for tomorrow at the Meadowlands. Oh, my throat was weird. We're going to talk late pick 4 tomorrow at the Meadowlands. We're going to talk about Meadowlands Pace elimination. We're going to talk about graduate files. We're going to talk about Lawrence B. Sheppard Allums, and we're going to talk about Reynolds, 1 dash for the Reynolds, all that and a lot more. If you listen to this last hour, you know there's a lot more coming. Here on North American Harness Update, stay tuned for more here on SRN1.
Did you change overnight? second sun on the other line. Now back in our town as it passed away, I'm reminded of the time it all fell in line on the 3rd of May, as if it were designed, made it insane to be washed away. Oh, but I can hear you out in the center. All we made to be crowded together like too slow? Did I change your mind? Second son. For the second time. If I lead you through the fury, will you call to me? And is all that I might owe you carved on ivory? But all will fade, all I say, all I need as a flash in the eye, I wouldn't deny or recede. Rise from thorns, pools of gold. I am only your mistake if I make my mind a whole. To be held within oneself is death like all I know. But all will be mine and me as we make it. And the size of the fray can't take it away. They won't make it. I was a fool. Crime after crime to confess to.
Full Pong in Woodbridge. Police are looking for a second suspect connected to an explosion at a Vaughn Cafe. Officers found a slightly injured man following a blast last week at Cafe Coretto near Weston and Highway 7, who was then arrested. Juan Eduardo Munoz, aged 33, made a court appearance from his hospital bed. The Red Cross has sounded the alarm after 2 drownings in York Region. This comes after a babysitter drowned in a backyard pool in Newmarket, and in a separate incident, a man had died swimming in Lake Simcoe. The Canadian Red Cross has raised concerns about water safety. Peel police are looking for 2 men related to a Brampton pharmacy robbery. The incident took place on Wednesday night at the corner of Vaughan Street East and Lake Ridge Drive. Police described the 2 suspects as white males, one brandishing a gun. Sun and cloud in the forecast, Mississauga 25, Newmarket 24. I'll have updates on SRN1. I'm full of pong.
Thank you, Phil, and welcome back to more North American Harness Update. Now, in the last hour, we learned a lot about ourselves and each other. And we will not continue that because that is a very dark path to go down, especially with Mike. I know Mike's got a lot he's hiding from us. Most of them are bodies, but the roof is, the ceiling is speaking. But
Are we still muted?
no, you guys are here.
Okay.
I was trying to get to the point, but then the roof was talking, and I got scared that maybe you were in my house and this would be my last day. However, let's be honest, I'm not Mike, I feel you're a brother to me and not a dad.
Nope.
You're not a dad to me.
Thank-
You're a brother.
I'm like a big brother, I would hope.
Rod, you're kind of the cousin that comes over every 3 years just to remind you that they're part of the family technically. But you're slowly working your way up to like stepbrother. It'll take you time though. Anyway, I love how you had zero to say about that. When we last left off, Mike and Rod continued on in the pick four sequence. However, every shot that I took ended up being the wrong one, as the horses I have tossed so far are 2 for 2. I blame the track condition, however, because it couldn't be because of me. Because in this postmodern world, what is it? I'm always right. Anyway. Also happening in this hour, we were going to get into the late pick four for tomorrow at the Meadowlands, because within that pick four are the finals of the Graduate Series. We'll get to that momentarily. However, let's quickly run through two of the stakes happening earlier in that card tomorrow at the Meadowlands, starting with the opening race. Opening race being race number 1, Saturday at the Meadowlands racetrack. It is a division, one single division, for the Mary Reynolds Memorial. These are 3-year-old filly trotters getting ready, prepping themselves for the Del Miller Memorial next weekend on Meadowlands Pace night. Now, what I'm assuming is there was supposed to be a Colt Reynolds Division 2, but it didn't fill, or maybe I'm just mistaken and there wasn't supposed to be one. Either way, we're left with one dash for the fillies. My nose is itchy, probably because I'm allergic to something in this room, but I'll get through it. 6 lining up here for the Reynolds, and this race is pretty straightforward, at least for me. There's 2 standouts in this race. One of them is going to be the favorite. One might be worth betting, but I'm curious if either of you fall in that same line. I guess firstly I'll ask, are we all in agreement that Dream Baby Dream is the horse to beat?
Yes.
I disagree. I think the 6 is the horse to beat.
Oh, come on, Mike. Why must you disagree? However, elaborate.
I was all over the 4 last week. I'm not leaving them this week.
I've been all over the 4 since she was a 2-year-old.
Yeah, the 4's made a total of 36,000, whereas the 6 has made 202.
That means nothing.
It means a lot, and it's made 54,000 this year already.
That
And that's more than that 2 has made. Period. Plus, we actually have an actual driver on the 6, not Rod Allen.
Oh, you're calling Rod Allen not a real driver? Mr. Rod Allen, the man who campaigned CRK Susie, one of the greatest mare trotters to live?
I realize you guys like this horse, but this horse does a lot of hanging. And for the price,
there was no hanging last week.
Stakes horse, yes, that was a hang.
That was not a
hang.
hang.
Won a $200,000 race at this place last year. I like the 6 better than the 4.
I feel like you're just weighing that class more than you are weighing improvement. You know what I mean? Because the 4 is getting really good over the last couple of miles, and for that start being like 3 weeks off a layoff, that's a decent race.
I don't see any 1s next to its name. I'm curious. Do you see any, Rod? Do you see any 1s?
Yeah, I see 2 to 1 on the odds.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm arguing for the fact that
I do agree the horse is improving, but I think that the horse has class issues and, is cleaning up, races and doesn't have nearly the class that the 6 does. It's not close.
Well, I mean, but that's the thing is you have, like, I just noticed this with you a lot. You have a heavy basis on that kind of back class. But like for instance, what a horse does at 2 does not necessarily mean it will be replicated at 3. You know what I mean? Like
this horse is 2 for 2 in 2 stakes races at 3. I think we're probably doing okay at 3.
I mean, they're sire stakes, and they aren't necessarily the best.
Those are legitimate races. They're better than those PA sire stakes. Are way better than the New Jersey sire stakes that this 4 horse was racing in.
Yeah, where she was second to Ariana G. I mean, she's at least chasing a good one.
Yeah, chasing that horse, chasing and not winning.
You expect her to beat Ariana G? Like I know I'm arguing for this horse way more than I should because she's gonna end up being the favorite. I just when you I just don't like when you have that kind of basis on class. You know, and
this horse was 32-1 against non-winners of 2 in the middle of May. And now that's going to be 3-5 against these horses.
That was her first start of the season. And not only that, look at the race she put in. She parked the entire mile. She put in a good race.
Doesn't matter. This horse has yet to be bet yet. Now you're going to take 6-5 on her.
Look at who she's been up against. She's been up against some of the horses that, albeit Overdraft Volo had beaten, but she still beat them too in that big mile she put in last week. I mean, I'm offering devil's advocate to you.
Well, feel free to take all of that 6-5 you want. I'll play the.
That's also why I feel embarrassed to argue that much. But when you mention that past class stuff, I do get I get worked up.
It matters. I realize you think the only thing that matters is the last 2 or 3 lines, period. And
because
that's
it
not
does.
True.
It does.
No, that's incorrect. That's completely false.
What a horse did 4 years ago does not necessarily mean it will be what they can do today. They regress. They progress. They degress. Is degress a word? I guess it is now. I just constantly think of the example where it happened a couple months ago actually, where it was a low class race, and you would take my picture, and one of the reasons why was you said this horse earned $1 million. He'd been up against the best in the past, but I mean he was 11 years old, and his last few races had not really been that poppin'.
Class matters.
He lost.
I'd rather take a horse that I know has miles to go back to than a horse that doesn't find a way to win, even though it's improving. At least in this case. I
disagree with some of your theories on class, but I'm also just looking for improvement horses because those are usually the kind of prices I can snag.
Oh yeah, this is a huge price you're snagging.
That's why I also said I'm embarrassed to be arguing this much about it.
You my guess.
Because I basically how I saw this race is Dream Baby Dream's the horse to beat, and if you're gonna get any price out of this race, it's probably gonna be out of Sunshine Delight, who's exiting a decent race in that Empire Breeders' Classic, finishing 3rd to Barn Bella, who is the best filly on that circuit by far. And looking back too on her lines, she's putting some good miles at the Meadowlands, at one good mile at the Meadowlands, parking first over, but then dropping back, just throw that race out. I was up against the boys too. And before that, parked again over at Tioga first over, challenged the leader for the entire way, still dropped back to finish 3rd. It seems like in a short field, as long as she doesn't put herself first over again, at whatever price she may be, hopefully above 4-1, if you're really looking for some kind of bet out of this race, she'd probably be the value. However, I still feel that Dream Baby Dream is the horse to beat. Now, Rod, explain why I'm right.
Well, I was on Dream Baby Dream last week, and, I'm not going to play the race just because she's going to be 6-5 even money, something like that, based on that last race. And I needed this horse at 12-1 last week, but it was a good race last week. I think the horse is steadily improving, and Overdraft Volo, the 6, has the class and has won big races at the Meadowlands, but I just don't see the horse kind of being ready just yet. So that's why I'm going to stick with
What
Dream
would you
Baby
need
Dream.
for her to be ready?
I would have liked to have seen a 53 and change mile over at Pocono.
I mean, she
I like
did.
the way
She put that race.
It was a good race.
She went first over.
It was a good race. And I'm not going to say it wasn't. But
The
I
way
think
she did it at
Dream Baby.
Pocono is legitimate. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not
I
like
agree.
she just got the front or whatever and got the pocket. She did it the hard way and still won.
I agree that I'm not saying it was a bad race at all. It was a good race. I just think she needed to go a little bit quicker. I mean, it was an evenly rated mile there. She come a half in 56 and 4. I'm just not a big fan of coming back to the big track and having to go up against a horse that has trotted 52 and change the last 2 starts at the Meadowlands.
It's not the time that necessarily bothers me with her. It's usually how she lacks any kind of bid late, and that's been her case since as a 2-year-old. I mean, yeah, you look back 2 starts ago to that 20. You look back 2 starts ago to that 27 final quarter, but that was set up by a very slow first half. And
she won the kindergarten from the 9-hole from the back.
They came home in 29 and 3.
I don't care. Don't act like that she can't come from the back when she won the race from the outside like that.
No, I say that because she needs the setup in those instances. And I'm looking at this field, and it seems like there are some horses that can sprint home better, like the 2 and the 4, and that's also why I weigh them better. The 6 from that post is likely going to be a disadvantage, because if she leaves, she's most likely going to get out-sprinted by someone. If she doesn't leave, she's going to need a really slow pace to bring her into the mix. You know what I mean?
We've spent way too much time on this race.
Right?
Enough.
Let's stop talking about
This is
it.
ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
60 seconds to post, meanwhile, for the 9th race of the Meadowlands. I love pushing your buttons. You guys are a fun bunch.
I let you guys go at it there because my statement was pretty simple. I think the 2 best horses were the 4 and the 6. Plain and simple.
Well, I mean, the morning line says that too.
It's a chalky race.
It's like what on Wednesday night when I went to the track with my dad. We were joking about the idea of expert picks, and all night at Penn National there were these 3-5, 4-5, 6-5 shots winning, and we were joking, going, "It's the expert pick coming in the front of the line." That's basically what this race was.
Expertly call this race.
You're putting me on a lot of pressure if you're expecting an expert call. However, looking at the board, Mega Dulce 8-1. You gotta be Bella Gloss though. 7-1 now too. Ew. No, thank you. This is a bad betting board. No one here really.
These are likely the 3 best horses in here.
God, Strawberry Hanover
Yeah,
7-2 though. That's way too low. Way too
No,
low.
I kind of figured this horse would be short.
Well, you better hope she's not short at 7-2.
On the odds board, I figured this horse is going to be a little short.
Oh, I mean,
Money coming late for the 8.
No, trust me, this horse will not be short in the race. The only way she's not going to hit the board is if she makes a break. So, to me, the 3 that are getting better, the 3 best horses in here.
I am now rooting for her to not hit the board for other reasons.
No, that's the horse we want.
Yes, we want this one.
I'm gonna.
And you're out already, so just root for us.
Yeah, exactly. Call the race and root for us, like you do every week.
This show's supposed to be all about me, but you guys are making it all about you. It's not fair. They're in motion. Current favorite at 4-5, the 8 Bella Gloss, second choice, then a 3-1, the 2 Supergirl Riley, full field of 10. Another division of the Kindergarten Classic in motion and approaching the start. Often trotting, Baby wants to time the gate, and she couldn't. She's off stride, as is Falling in Love. Also off stride, Strawberry Hanover and Sweet on You. So 4 of them are out, moving to that first turn. Getting away on the lead to the inside comes... that's Supergirl Riley. Then it's Dab Hanover getting away second. Bella Gloss floats wide of them into third and is approaching the lead coming to that opening quarter. Mega Dulce stalks them from fourth. Piranha Fury then is back fifth. It's a gap to First Call trotting sixth. They're then back to the breakers, including Sweet on You, Falling in Love, Baby Wants, and Strawberry Hanover. First quarter, 30 seconds flat as Bella Gloss strides and coasts to the lead onto the 3/8 pull and the halfway point. Supergirl Riley sits the pocket. Then it's back to Dab Hanover trotting third, 3.5 lengths off her stablemate. Fourth comes Mega Dulce. It's another gap then to Piranha Fury. 6 more lengths to First Call, who is met by Strawberry Hanover. Falling in Love is in the back of that pack, and it's farther back to the breakers, Baby Wants and Sweet on You. 59-1 for the half, 29-1 for that second quarter. Moving to that far turn, Bella Gloss leads Supergirl Riley as no one is up to challenge the odds-on choice coming to 3 quarters. 2 clear of the pocket rider. Mega Dulce now pulls from 4th and is pursuing the leader. Dab Hanover's boxed in. Supergirl Riley now edges out of the pocket, and they are chasing after Bella Gloss, who passes 3 quarters in 1:29-3. She's a length in front of Supergirl Riley to the top of the stretch. On her back then is Mega Dulce, trying to cut into the deficit as Bella Gloss coming to the 8th pole, trying to kick into another gear. Supergirl Riley applies pressure. Here comes Mega Dulce, 3 wide, but Supergirl Riley takes the lead from Bella Gloss, and it's Supergirl Riley coasting away as they come to the line. Bella Gloss off stride, Mega Dulce up for second then from Dab Hanover and Bella Gloss. It was Supergirl Riley in 1:57-3.
This will be another 20-minute inquiry.
Well, the early the 8 looked right as rain like the whole way around, and then she got a little bumpy late. The 2 looked horrible early, and then hit the top of the stretch and just mowed. I mean, the 2 I thought was gone in the first turn.
I thought she was going to break right before the half.
I thought the 5 was going to win. When they were turning. There's a flying ant right now just rolling around on the ground, and it's kind of interesting to watch. Also, there are such things.
Keep talking about
everywhere.
Well, we're alive again, shockingly. Shockingly, me and Rod alive, Ray dead. Let's go.
As you can also tell, I am very appreciated for my craft.
I'm doing my surprise face right now.
Ooh.
It's the same one I make the rest of the day.
Where are we at?
You make that joke made me sad.
Aw, here we go again.
Well, I mean, I was sad beforehand. It just
This
did.
before could
didn't
be
happen.
okay, Rod.
Until you lose the last
You
leg.
need some favorites.
Until you lose.
Hey, we got to move on. It's already 10:30.
I know,
No,
but you guys are getting
Ray's too busy pouting. He's pouting. That's what he does.
You think I care? I mean, I'm okay with losing. Everyone loses. So what?
Okay,
Accept
stop
it.
pouting. Let's go.
I'm not pouting. You guys are just talking
are.
about nothing.
We're talking about racing.
That's nothing. This we're going to talk about the Meadowlands Pace limit. Racing is nothing. Let's talk about racing. Meadowlands Pace elimination. There's one elimination for the Meadowlands Pace tomorrow night at the Meadowlands. I'm not saying that like on Sunday at the Meadowlands then there will be another elimination. No. Instead, we have 10 going postward. Top 7 go to final. Getting by's Classic Pro down by the seaside and me so fast. So, that was a burp. So, we got 10 lining up here. Headlined by Huntsville to the inside. I'm also trying to hold back any kind of acid reflux that is coming up from my coffee, so I turn into sportscaster Ray. Huntsville to the inside, coming off a second place finish in the North America Cup to Fear the Dragon, who's not here and will not be in the Meadowlands Pace because he lives in Ohio, and that's too far for the new Corral rule. And he also went 49 miles, so he couldn't supplement to the Meadowlands Pace. It was impossible. So. We have 9 to 5 Huntsville. Okay, I held back anything that was coming up. 9 to 5. 9 to 5 favorite Huntsville. Most likely will end up going off 1 to 9 here. The question I raised then to you, starting with Mike. Mike being you. Is it worth playing against Huntsville?
I don't think so. I mean,
Explain.
It is an elimination, but this horse is just far and away a top horse racing against horses that are, basically trying to break their way in. These are second-rate stakes horses against a top stakes animal, and I would say that, he's probably going to win by 5.
Rod?
Yeah, I agree. Huntsville's the best in this field, and the only horse at a decent price underneath that I like is probably not going to be a decent price because they just put an article about him on the USTA today.
Tell me it's the 7.
Yes.
Of course.
Of course, right.
Oh no.
We've only been on this
No.
horse for the last month and a half.
This horse is totally picker upper.
And they just put an article on him about him on the USTA website today, so he's going to end up being a short price just because of that. So yeah, I mean, long story short, it's Huntsville. I mean, there's nothing really to talk about in this race.
What do you think of the 5 in the race?
I was just gonna say, like, Huntsville is the obvious one here. None of us are debating that.
RJP's okay, but I don't think he's quick enough to be able to beat Huntsville, and he's going to be
I
another
don't think he
short
can win,
price.
but I do think he can crack the ticket. And
Yeah,
he
he
might be
can.
ignored a little.
I think he's going to be a short price just based on being parked a mile the last start and getting beaten 50 on and off track.
Well, how about Talent Soup, who's been racing very well here at the Meadowlands? He seems to have some kind of affinity for the track, coming off a big mile in the slop. Will most likely be ignored for his
He's gonna have
class.
to sit the 2-hole. If he gets a 2-hole trip, I think he'll be right there also.
And ultimately, I guess the main thing with this race is why I prefaced with, is it worth playing against Huntsville? Because if you're betting to win, I mean, you got to beat Huntsville. You're not going to get a good price on Huntsville, period. He's going to be most likely 1-5. And not only that, the exotics will probably be very lackluster too. Inquiry's on the 1 at the Meadowlands and not the 8. That's interesting.
It's a dead heat for 3rd.
Oh, but it says Inquiry.
Well, because the 8 broke.
Oh. All right, anyways, as I was saying. And the exactas are probably going to be very lackluster too, even if you can get like a 50-1 shot underneath Huntsville. So it seems like if you really want to try to make any money off this race, if you feel so compelled to, you're gonna have to try and beat Huntsville, which isn't necessarily a major feat. I mean, looking at his miles in the Pennsylvania Sire Stakes, time wise, and I'm not a big time guy, but time wise, some of these horses are able to keep up with that. His effort though in the North America Cup is what makes him stand out, because he was able to advance off of fast fractions. At the same time, you could also look at that as, well, he was suctioned into the race because the pace was collapsing as he was starting to get into the mix, which is
I want to know which one of these horses can go 49 at Philly. None of them, besides this one. None.
I've seen like 6 that can.
In this race, you're telling me 6 of these horses can go 49 at Philly?
I mean, if you can go 49 at Philly, that doesn't necessarily mean you can go 46 at Pocono. You know what I mean?
Some of the things that come out of your mouth is just garbage.
I see. Just because it's different. That's what they did to Jesus Christ. I'm not saying I'm Jesus Christ.
Wow. Yeah, let's do that.
I do not want to say
Next
that.
race.
Here, we're wasting more time on another race with 1-9 shot. That's fabulous. Let's go.
What I'm saying is, if you feel like you want to beat Huntsville, I say try Talent Soup. Just try him.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Now, since I'm always wrong, I'm not even going to talk about the next race. I'm going to let you guys start. Well, I always let you start anyway, so it's not really matters. This is the start of the late pick 4 for Saturday at the Meadowlands. This is the final of the Graduate Series Trot. $240,000 on the line. I think this is down to 2 horses. However, you guys are both on the same 3 horses, and I'm pretty sure Mike can explain it best. I'm sorry, Rod. Of the 2, 3, and 9 being the main contenders.
Well, the 2, Cufflink Hanover, raced extremely well last week against upper level overnights here. Came home 26-1 and was like a rocket flying past them. And your favorite horse, Market Share, was there and got its doors blown off. Prior to that, was racing okay in the Graduate. Had terrible posts at Meadowlands and Mohawk in the first 2 legs. Then went to Tioga and got beat by Marion Rodder. No disgrace there. I think this horse is coming into his own a little bit here as the year goes on. It's very quick and gets an inside post, which is an advantage over some of the other contenders. The 3 Trolley, this horse is an exceptional 4-year-old, racing very well in the Graduate. Kind of woke up, if you look, was in numbers of 3 at Pocono in May, and then that race at Mohawk where getting beat a nose to Dason when he was probably best, with lacked room in the stretch, and since then crushed the field Tioga and then really crushed a race that at the Meadowlands here on June the 23rd. I like the inside post for this one. I think, you have to use Marion Marauder. Triple Crown winner, was basically just sat in the back with last week at Mohawk, where I had no chance against the top level preferred horses that, are all very good. This horse came home 27-1, was against it. Will be the favorite, but I would like to try the other ones, 2, 3, and 9.
I mean, you don't necessarily have to use Marion Marauder. It's highly suggested you use him because of how
it's
strong
hard to
contender.
let this horse beat you.
Not if you just let him beat you.
I'm not.
Yeah, you can't just look. You can't not use him.
No, you can. I think you're not understanding the idea of rhetoric. But Rod, do you have anything really to add to what Mike was saying?
No, I like Cufflink Hanover. I like Trolley. I like Marion Marauder. Trolley, to me, last week, and Mike and I talked about this horse. He was just absolutely dominant last week. And he was just wrapped up, never even pulled the plugs. I mean, just wrapped up at the wire and still had a ton of horse. And he was very, very impressive in that last start. And it really caught my eye. And Marion Marauder, he raced from the back last time and really had no chance to win that race and still tried at a big last half to make up a ton of ground.
Well,
So it's tough to go against him. But I do like Trolley.
let me ask you this: Trolley winning like that against weaker horses, does that stand out more than Cufflink Hanover winning against higher level horses and seeming like he's coming into this race pretty sharp? Lee?
Well, they're both sharp, but Cufflink there's really not much of a class difference in between those two races. They were more just prep races for this week.
Mm-hmm.
And they did race on the same night. The difference is Cufflink Hanover sat the 2-hole, popped out, and blew by in the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Trolley left out of the 9-hole, was parked to the quarter, and just kept drawing away. And I'm telling you, he could have went at least a second faster if he wanted to. The horse had a ton left in the tank.
Now you see, this is where I take a stand. And as you guys have seen tonight, that's been going very well. I was originally 239. However, for tickets' sake, I decided I was going to cut back I cut back in almost all the races because this is actually a pretty tough sequence. And I instead take the 2 and the 9 because I feel Trolley is going to have to deal with Dason. Dason is clearly a horse that loves to be on the lead. And Trolley is also one. I mean, he can sacrifice not sitting on the front and pulling back, but if anything, he could be a part of some kind of pace setup. Cufflink Hanover is clearly a stalker, as is Marion Marauder. In this race, I see setting up for a stalker. And if Trolley is left alone, if Trolley shoots for the lead, as he has in his last couple of starts, and tries to just let himself loose, as he has in those starts, then possibly that could set up for a horse like Cufflink Hanover or Marion Marauder, who could definitely outsprint him if Trolley is used up. That's the theory. They're both better prices than Trolley, so I'm taking a shot with that. I'm 2-9 in the Graduate. I of course also I gotta brag about the fact that I discovered Marion Marauder as a 2-year-old, and he ended up winning the Hambletonian. I gotta plug that every time, like how 6 weeks ago I hit the pick 4 at the Meadowlands for $210. Okay. We're moving on to the 10th race, which is the second leg of the pick 4, because the pick 4 for tomorrow night starts with race number 9. I think that's because they have an earlier post time. Why do they have that 6:30 post time again? I forget. Is there something going on? Is there a concert?
No idea.
Oh, anyway. 10th race.
I think it's because they have more well, maybe not. I don't know. I thought it was because they had a few more races than usual, but maybe not.
I mean, that's possible. 10th race. Condition Pace. Numbers of 15,000, hybrid condition with a bunch of other numbers that are, quite frankly, scaring me. This race seems wide open, but I think you can narrow it down to 3 horses, and most of us use the same horses. Mike, starting with you. You go the deepest out of all of us. You take 4 of them here.
Yeah, and no chalk either. I do like the 2s. The Wayfaring Man and Altera Success, both big track horses, both have been racing at upper level conditions, and both coming back to, the straight twos coming back to the big track. The 2A raced here last week, but raced well from the 9-hole. Both of those horses are very capable and are, on the preferred surfaces. The 3 More Dragon raced very well here last week in a 48 and 4 effort. Came home 27 flat against Better's Edge, who would be very competitive in this field. The 5 In the Arsenal comes back off the layoff. This horse has made over $1 million. Maybe needed the race last week. That was the Better's Edge race. Kind of got the front and then, got tired. I'm okay with that. This horse will get better as the year goes on and is a long price. And then the 7 Bushwhacker, lots of class here. Also 27 lifetime wins. I've been racing at the preferred level. Came back with off a layoff to win here. Then lost in the preferred to Malmero, who freaked at Pocono. Then ended up in a winner's over race at Pocono and tried to get the front and kind of got run over as the favorite. But back here on the bigger track, has some class. I'm going to use that one too. 2, 3, 5, 7.
All right, Rod, you go 3 deep in here. You use the 3 and the 7, but you throw on a different one.
Yeah, I threw on the 4, Max Daddy Blue Chip. He comes from off the pace. This is a race that could set up with a ton of front end speed, and I think this horse closing ability, he might be able to come up behind the 3 horse, and if the 3 drags him up, he's probably got a good shot to go by.
Do you think he's a little cheap?
He is, but I liked the race last week in the slop, and there's only a couple horses in here that even raced last week that had a good race last week. So, he sat on the outside. He's got a big driver change from Kyle D. Benedetto to Dan Dubé. And I really feel like this horse should be able to get a really good trip in here.
It's worth
with all the speed.
It's worth noting too that a lot of horses on that track last week were not closing well, yet this guy did. Albeit he had the pace set up to kind of help him get there.
Yeah, it was a quick pace, but same time, this horse does close all the time. Even at Tioga, he's coming big quarters at Tioga, and that's not easy to do over there.
Because we've all
Tioga's
raced over
a
Tioga.
pretty front end track, so to be closing into horses over there and closing from the back is pretty impressive.
I'll make mine. You have something else?
Go ahead.
I was gonna make mine.
No, I was just gonna add on to what Mike said, but it was pretty much the same thing. So go ahead.
All right. Well, I use most of the horses Mike uses, except I don't use the 5. I throw out the 5. I just don't like him. I use the entry of the 2. The Wayfaring Man, he's moving to a bigger track. Seems like that should help him. He's usually forwardly placed. He can at least race well against this group. This is his class level, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. Ontario's Success just races well here, period. Although he's going to have to overcome post 10. He's done it in the past, though, and this horse seems like he draws the outside almost every week. More Dragon, second start off a layoff. His first start back, pretty impressive. Coming home in 27 seconds to finish second. Albeit closing it on a fast pace, was up against Better's Edge, who is one of our better pacers. I'm sorry, my itchy nose is really getting to me. Inside draw should help him, and he should be forwardly placed, and if he kicks home that strongly, he should do well here. And then finally, Bushwhacker has a big class advantage on this field. 3 starts ago, won easily against slightly lower, moved up to the preferred, was third then to Malmero Rockeyed Optimist, who are much better than any of these horses. And he got to throw out that last race at Pocono just because that was over a tiring track, and he tried to go to the lead, and those two do not usually go well together. So 2-3-7 for that leg. Up next, then, is the Graduate Series Pace final. I feel like we have time to talk about it if we go very quickly, although we're all over the place in this race. I narrowed it down to 3 horses. I guess, Rod, briefly explain why you go so deep, because you have 5 here.
Yeah, I'm 5 deep. I kind of thought the race was wide open and it could play a number of different ways. And
well, clearly.
So I went 3, 4, 6, 8, and 9. Rollaway Joe is kind of the first horse that I looked at, and he's got speed and he's going to keep going tomorrow. I don't see him ducking at any point tomorrow. So, he will be on the front, and Dr. J. Hanover, he's going to go as well. I think Sintra will duck. He shows ducking and winning, 4 or 5 starts ago. Boston Red Rocks, he's a big track horse anyways. And he doesn't always win, but he's always right there, so it's tough to throw him off. And then Check 6, he's a pretty versatile horse. He doesn't win much, but same time, he is just as good as everything else in here and could trip out.
Now, Mike, you don't even use Dr. J. Hanover, who is debatably the horse to beat in this race. You take some of the ones Rod mentioned, but you also throw on Western Fame and Lion Snyder. So kind of explain that quickly.
Well, for one, I like Dr. J. Hanover, and I had him whenever he had that giant mile at 15-1. But ever since then, I didn't really like the Gold Cup race. And then, he's had some time off, and that race could have gutted him a bit. And I don't feel like this race sets up for him, really, with all the speed in the race and how it's going to go and how aggressive I think they're going to be. The 2's interesting because, he finally got a trip last week and won. And this horse, has a lot of class. He's got an inside post, and he could, be flying a little bit higher. He beat older horses last week. That Luck Be With You. You beat Luck Be With You at Pocono. And, that's a legitimate race. Now back in against 4-year-olds with an inside post and could be a pocket trip. I could see him getting the pocket behind the 4 in the race. He's definitely faster than the 3 away from the gate. Sintra's obvious. Crush, Nirvana Steals Through Hood, won a couple in a row up there.
20
with
seconds.
Fast times. And, Boston Red Rocks, I think is the horse to beat. Getting back to the Meadowlands, a place where he loves. And, he ran into Dr. J whenever he was going as fast as he possibly could. Then he lost to Delta Winner as an older horse in the Franklin Lem. Had no chance from the 8-hole. So I think he's the horse to beat. I'm 2-6-8. And then the 10, who's been racing at Yonkers, 2 back, lost to Keystone Velocity, who won that big race at Pocono last week. Gets back to the bigger track. And I think he's going to be a huge price. So, and he likes it here, too.
I'm acknowledging the fact that race, Lion Snyder won, totally set up for him with how the track was playing. I mean, that was kind of the goal when I gave out Soto. I was about to say Sorty. Soto, but he ended up not getting the pocket, and Lion Snyder did, and he ended up winning that race at 30-1. So I don't necessarily weigh it as greatly as you do. However, if he can get that set up here again, he's proven he races well over the Meadowlands, so that could definitely play in his favor. Dr. J. Hanover is clearly the sharp one of this bunch, so I throw him on because of that. And then Boston Red Rocks, I also believe, is... if you look at his lines and you dismiss some of his races as poor trips and acknowledge the fact that this horse had 0 luck whatsoever, if he can somehow work out the trip, he may be the best horse in this field, and he could prove it very easily if that circumstance arises. So 2-4-8 for me in that leg, being the Graduate Pace final, Lion Snyder, Dr. J. Hanover, and Boston Red Rocks. We will talk about the last leg right after this race. The 10th is getting ready to go at the Meadowlands. Current favorite on the board at 8-5, the 6 Another Breath. Second choice at 7-2, the 1 Land on Fitz. Third choice then at 5-1, the 2 Pine Tab. Mike's alive to the 1-3-6-9. Rod's alive to the 1-2-8-9. Could be all, some, or nothing. We'll find out.
It'd be nice if the 9 would get to the gate.
Yeah.
They're lining up. They're in motion. And they're approaching the start. Off and trotting, Michael's Wild Boy got a little too wild trying to leave. He's off stride. Meanwhile, going out for the lead, Sheer Flex. As he secures the top, moving that first turn, Another Breath then gets away second wide. of Pine Tab sitting third, then getting away fourth to the quarter comes Highway Marcus in front of Land on Fitz fifth. Captain Primo is back sixth in front of Brook Road Donnie seventh, followed by Mr. Pro Tab ducking in towards the back, Warcry Hall, and it's further back to the breaker, Michael's Wild Boy. Opening quarter 28 seconds as Sheer Flex leads to the back stretch, a length and a half in front of Another Breath sitting second, beginning to edge to the outside, but Dave Miller's keeping him in the pocket at the moment while Pine Tab stalks them from third, 3 lengths off the lead. Highway Marcus is fourth and now committing to the outside for Callahan, carrying Landon Fitz on his back second over. Then it's Captain Primo gapping behind them sixth. Wide comes Brook Road Donnie as they come onto the halfway point, and they pass that in 57 seconds. 29 for that second quarter, moving to the far turn. Sheer Flex now challenged by Highway Marcus, who easily sticks his head in front and goes to the lead. Highway Marcus, the new leader, about to clear as Bongiorno calls upon Sheer Flex, and he now sits the pocket while Landon Fitz advances first up and now towards second, heading to three quarters. Then moving up second over comes Pine Tab. Another Breath drops back to the inside. A big move in the back from Warcry Hall. 3 wide circling past horses as they come by three quarters in 1:25 and 2. And to the top of the stretch, they have to catch Highway Marcus, who's 2 in front of Landon Fitz, trotting second. Sheer Flex to the inside third. Pine Tab towards the center of the track. Deeper comes Another Breath as they're fanning out behind Highway Marcus. Coming to the 8th pole, he's still in front by 2, but Another Breath is closing in, reeling him in. Highway Marcus almost home. Another Breath, a final lunge. Highway Marcus holds on from Another Breath, and at the inside looks like Sheer Flex held on for third in 1:54 and 4. Congratulations, you both hit it.
Tonight's pick 4 brought to you by, once again, Mike and Rod.
Mike and
That one
Rod,
was 185.
who of course are the greatest handicappers to ever grace this earth, and they're on
I
my
thought
show.
that's why you got us on the show, because we're awesome.
I'm
have to admit, we are pretty good.
I'm better.
Yeah.
At
All right, let's finish.
not handicapping, you might be better at something, but not handicapping.
gotta
I
finish.
promise you that.
Yeah. Hold your vitriol for after the show. We have a pick 4 to cap off. Final leg of the sequence for tomorrow night at the Meadowlands, and these tickets will again be posted tomorrow before the card is over. Claiming handicap. Basically, I'm 3-4-7. Mr. Julian's coming in off of 2 good efforts in this claiming event and is coming in off a claim. That's good. Honey's Dragon's making his second start off the claim. Like I said, horses weren't really closing well last week in the slop, so I'm giving him a bit of an excuse there. That was also his first start in about 2. No, that was in a week. Never mind. So dates are fine. He should improve. And then Camturo Beach, another one that did not really close too well. Seemed like he was up in class too in that G-Notes final. Just got an awful trip. Seems like coming back down to this level should suit him. I'm 3-4-7.
I'm 2, 4, and 9. The 4 was unbelievable last week. If you watch that replay, because that horse looked dead on the turn and then just crushed coming home in 26 and 2. And I'm taking horses out of that race, like the 2 who's raced well against this horse 2 in a row, and then the 9. Same story. So those would be my 3, 2, 4, 9.
I went 4 and 5 here. I'm pretty short. For obvious reasons, he's won 4 in a row, right back in the same class. And then the 5 UF Fast Feeling. I like him. He's dropping back into the class where he was competitive, and I think if he gets a good trip, he can close late along with the 4, if the 4 is not on the front.
All right, then finally a quick run through the Lawrence B. Sheppard eliminations. First elimination here. Horse that really stands out on the page for me. Joe Pribozie gets a good draw here. Seems like off his most recent qualifier, he should be a lot better, even though he didn't really kick home too strongly. But from that draw, I'm definitely interested.
I don't know that I could use the 1 there. The 2 at least has a race at Goshen, raced pretty well to be second. First time out, came home 28 and 3. And then the 3 looks very obvious. That 26 and 3 kicker last time at the Meadowlands. But who knows how this horse will do on the half mile. So I would be more 2 than 3.
Yeah, I'll jump on the 4 just for the fact that this horse qualified in 56 and a piece over at Philly and was a good qualifier. Just kind of sat there and went around, and the 3 is going to be dead chalk. So you got to find a price somewhere to try to beat him.
Second elimination, interestingly enough, they have scratched the 5 Wild Bill from betting, most likely because he would be such an overwhelming favorite that Yonkers would have to shut down. So instead, Quick Talkin' will most likely be the favorite to finish second in this race. Although, looking at this field, I mean, Fat Blue Chip seems interesting, but at a decent price, maybe Springsteen.
I don't know. I prefer the one. Just that 8-hole win at Philly in that qualifier is legit. Now gets the rail here. So
Yeah, I'm with him on Fat Blue Chip.
All right, don't try. All right, then finally, the third elimination. I'm kind of just looking at this one now. We have a favorite to the outside with Lucky Leonard, who's coming off a 55 and 1 mile. We also have Paprike Blue Chip. Is that how you pronounce it? 54 and 2 win over at Pocono Downs. I mean, the 2's coming off a decent mile over at Harris, Philadelphia. In his first start of the season. Decent draw, decent price. No one else really standing out in the paper. Maybe Trump Nation, if he can just chase. Maybe good for an exacta or two. But for me, it would be the 2, Horse Star.
I have no real opinion. I like the 4 a little, just off the 2 qualifiers at Pocono. Decent race there, first time against the 1, and then raced at Goshen last time and dominated.
Yeah, I like the 4 as well. I think this horse is probably going to be suited for the smaller track anyways, and the 1's going to get the trip behind him. But, I think with the 2-year-old trotters being on the front end is probably where you want to be.
And that is that for now. We continue down the seas of life, searching for any kind of shoreline, even though we know that it is not coming for a while. So we must continue on then on our voyage next time around in next week, is basically what I was trying to say. Join us again on North American Harness Update for more racing, and next week Meadowlands Pace, and more, of course, me, Ray Cotolo, maybe some of them. I don't know. You guys will be back. You're always back. You always come back. Until then, I have been and will continue to be Ray Cotolo. I don't know who they are. They're people living their lives. And why won't you too?